So where we're at, we have very basic, grey, ugly looking form that loads up with the login screen. I can type in data here, password, and then that's really the end of the functionality. We stopped the exit on close being the default and included the exit button like so. So what do we need to do now? Well, let's remind ourselves the data that we have in that Excel file. So I'll load up user information. And you can see we have some made up names here where this is the username, forename, surname, and the password. So I've just made them all DCSG for now. And I will put all the data so you can see how all the classes would work together. So I want to create a class to be able to structure and hold that information, and then I will create an array list of that particular class in here. That will allow me to store all the usernames and passwords for a user when they log in to check that they exist. So similar to last time, right click and choose new Java class, and I will call this one user and hit finish. So looking at my plan, I have a username. We have a private string forename, private string surname, and private string password. Now remember, these are all our instance variables. Some of the things that can exemplify as encapsulation. So remember, these can't be edited unless we provide the methods to do so. Constructor, now remember we could have polymorphism, which I'll demonstrate with two constructors. So public user, remember you can always spot the constructor because it will have the same name as the class. So we'll do username equals just blank in there. And we can have the same method signature, in this case the constructor signature, with different parameter lists, and that's polymorphism, it responding based on the one chosen by the compiler. So in this case, we'll pass in all the parameters: forename, string, surname, string, p. Now there is more you could look into for how to store passwords correctly, which I'm not going to go into. That can be some advanced parts for you. But just storing them according to the order they come in. This dot forename equals f. This dot surname equals s. This dot password equals the p. So there's all of those parameters set. Now we could have methods in here to protect this data even further, and I'll add them as and when I require them so you can see what's going on. So back to the login frame now. What I want to do is look at that login button, and I want to just print out some of the information. So we will have the username is going to be equal to whatever the text is on this variable. In this case, it's jtextfield username. So I'm just going to copy and paste, and then use its access methods to get the text that's on there. Now the password, every single time I do it, I need to look it up. But similarly, get variable name, and you'll see that when we do get, we can only do, I think it's get password. Now that's an array list that, if you can see, we can't even convert them like so, and similar ones. Now I believe I'll just print it and can show you how we can figure these errors out. So we're getting an error there, so let's just print out and show you what happens. So we'll print out that piece, like so, and system.out.print line username, fix my errors. So we run it again. And if we have the login screen next to us there, so we can see the output. Clicking login, it looks as if nothing printed, but it's because they're empty. Hello, and I will type in password for the hello, just so we can see that it does actually return and print that when you do .getPassword. However, it's a character array. So what do we want to do? Well, I have totally forgotten how to change the password into a password. So let's use Google to help us. So convert JPassword field to string in Java. And you'll probably see Stack Overflow as some of the usual top hits. So let's see how we do. String, we can see other links to JPassword fields tutorials, so quite often needing to, and this looks a bit more interesting, so scrolling the page, we want to do toString, let's see, not very useful, let's try again. Just close that field, get string of password from JPassword field. So you can see that this is depreciated and people hopefully, there we go, just new string field will get password. So I was close to what we're typing the last time. New string, brackets surrounding that. We can see the error simply gone, and let's just print that out. Print out the password as well. You'll see that the username and password that we type in now, hopefully, if we get the two on the same screen. Not sure why it keeps loading off the page like that. See if we can get it to stay. Nope. Fine. Type in hello, password again. Now it's not going to do anything different really than the last time, except it's printing them on the same line like that. So I'll just comment that out now that I know it's working. So now that that's working, we need to do a couple of things when this frame loads. We need to read and store data from CSV into array list. So a couple of things to do. First of all, I need to create a private array list, and the type is going to be of user, which I'm just going to call all users, equals new array list, semicolon. Now you'll see the errors under that. Now these are quite good. One of the advantages of the IDE is if you click on the little light bulb, you can resolve some of the issues, and you'll see me use that quite a lot. And the only reason that's not working is I haven't imported the package that allows us to use array lists. So that's that working now. You'll see this yellow underline telling you some other information quite often about making it final, or sometimes it will tell you if it's not in use. So what am I going to do? I am going to create a method which I'll just call read user CSV. Like so, and it will come up underlined in red because I don't have that method yet. So I'm just going to go underneath here and I will put in commentary for it just to keep the readability high. So we can change that to read user CSV, store as temp objects, and add to user CSV. So we can expand on that later, but private void, because it's a procedure, no return value, read user CSV, careful with the spelling, CSV, no arguments passed in, no parameters, and no return type. So what do we want to do? Now, this part is sort of common code that I would type in most times, and then you'll see some errors come up. So what do I want to do? I want to get the path to the CSV file. So there's a few steps involved in that. So I need a string path to CSV. Again, the spelling on mine, you don't have to match it correctly, but obviously consistent spelling. Now we're going to use the system methods and built-in functionality to figure out where this particular file is actually saved in the user directory, so we don't have to hard code that in, and then add the file name to this address. So whatever the directory, the working directory of this program, that gets it, and then path to CSV, add on to that our file name, which is slash, and I'll need to double check so I don't get it wrong. Close that one down just now. User information.csv, so user information.csv, semicolon. So that's us created the address, the path to that where it's stored in the system. Now we need to get the relative path. So I want to do a new path. It's current relative path equals paths.get. So we get a new path. Now this is just setting up the reader so that we can read the file basically. So you can see that error again there. Import it. Gets rid of it. What do we want now? We want to combine those two to basically get the address of the file we want to open, so that we don't have to bother with the file browsing every time it opens. But if that's something you need, it's relatively straightforward if you find the tutorial, so you can choose that. So let's just print that so we can see what that actually does. Print line, let's just print out S, so we know that that's the current relative path. And all I'll do, I won't take it out of my project, I'll just leave them in, because it kind of demonstrates that we're doing ongoing testing to make sure everything's correct and working. So it pops up. This isn't important what I type here at the moment, but now when we look back, you'll see that it's found the, or printing rather, the address of where the current path to the project is. So that will allow us to open a connection to the file. So this information I've typed so many times, and all the projects I have open here, the majority of them are using that if they're reading or writing files. So what do we need? We need a buffered reader, which is going to call CSV reader. It's a new buffered, switch my spelling, reader, and again we need a new file reader object there, which we open with the path to the CSV that we created earlier. And we'll see some errors here. Again, it's because we need to import it, and we need to import the file reader as well. And then this next one that comes up, throws clause, try catch statements, and this, you'll see this comes up here, and this will throw errors a few other places. It's basically just error handling, that whenever there are errors detected, i.e. in this case it can't find the file it's trying to open, it will throw that error. So we've got error handling built into this now to deal with it. What do we need? Well, we want to have a string row which is temporary to store it. String to store a row from CSV file. So include internal commentary, because that will help obviously other people and yourself understand it. Read each row until row is null. So basically read every line essentially. While we want to get row is equal to the CSV reader dot read line, and while that's not equal to null. So basically, read a line and check that it's not null. Now you can see we've got that same issue come up again. So if we right click and it's just a different other error this time for an input-output exception, you can see that that's added on there too. Now that will trigger some other errors in the previous part of the code that we've written as well, so we'll fix that in a bit. So now we're inside this loop. We want to split the row on comma delimiter, which we will say string array of the data equals the row dot split, and then put the comma. If you did that in Python before, you might recognize it. Very similar. So what do we have next? We have create a temporary user object. So we've got our user class, so we can do user temp equals new user, and we can split up all 4 of the strings that we get in there. So data 0 would be the username, data 1 will be the forename, data 2 the password, and data 3 will be the password. So username, forename, surname, password. Now then what we want to do is add this user to the array list. So remember earlier we made this array list which we called all users, and we'll do all users dot add temp colon. So that's us got all the users read in from the beginning, and now we're ready to actually add the functionality to our, I'm just closing this other project that's running down, the functionality to our login button. So earlier we got the username and the password, and we want to basically check if people have entered things, if the password and username exist, if it's incorrect, and there's lots that we can do. And I'm going to look up again the code for option panes, so we can do that. So we can do something like if username dot length equals 0. That's a function. We obviously don't want that. Maybe we'll do the same for password, or the password dot length equals 0. Now again, got conditions here. We could spend all day figuring them out. If the username or password is null, basically, if it's blank, we could also do equals null or blank in this case. But if the length's 0, then obviously they've not entered anything. Now I'm going to also find some code online. Now I could put this into my bibliography as a link that I've used for JPassword fields as well. Now what I want is J information pane Java examples. What do I want actually? J option pane, sorry. And again, you've probably got this, and we can see these different ones. So there's a warning message code. So let's go to this tutorial site, and again, we can just use this to show where we got the example from. There's one for warning message. So I'll get this code again, add to my bibliography. If it is 0 in length, we can put in here null data input cannot have empty password or username. So get that. Now again we get this error, and that's again we need the import for Java Swing option pane, and that will go away. So we can run that and just test what it's doing at the moment. Let's just check what the errors. Oh yeah, the error was coming from this. So again, we can use the IDE here to fix that exception for us. And it's again just handling that throwing IE exception based on this method here, requiring that essentially. So try running again. Let's see, check for more red. Where's the other errors? That'll be the main part now. This part down here, actually, this login frame, I'm never going to run individually anyway, so we could fix it by just doing surround with try catch and it'll go away. But realistically, actually, I could just take that full piece of code out and not worry about it, because this is never directly executed on its own. It's always created in Grad Taxi, the main program there, so that seems to work. Give it a few seconds just to load. Now if we leave it blank, hit login, we get this error popping up, cannot have an empty password or username. Typing in Colin and password, hit login, we see nothing else, and we would really want the new frame to load up, which would be for the user login frame. So got quite a bit still to do here. It's quite a big bit of the project. Let's just type up our code for read user CSV we've got. So it's the login button again, sorry. So what do we need to do now? Well, we could add other checks, and what would be useful to do is have a boolean criteria met equals true, and I would have something at the end of this setting it to false for each of the different checks. So after we've got that part, if criteria met equals true, and again these criteria can just be that you must type in only 3 characters for your username. If you've got patterns that you require for your data, etc., we could have lots of other criteria in there, but I guess mine would be okay with just they've typed something. So if the criteria met is true, double equals, forgot there, we want to check this username exists, and then if username exists, check password. If password okay, load user frame, else deliver error message. Okay, so we've got the username here, and we have an array list of all users. Another way that we could have done this is maybe if we designed it where we have, it might actually be a better option, is having another class so that the user inherits from it, just to save us repeating this code several times. So best thing for us to do is just add it and realise that if we'd have spent some more time designing it, basically I will end up repeating the code lots and lots of times. So boolean found equals false, same way as you would have done in a lot of tasks. Well, now a simple search, which I'll just use a conditional loop just to make it a bit easier. While I less than all users dot size, and found is false, and I want to do if all users dot get that index I. Now this is where I will need to finish off the user class with my options. Dot get username is the one I want to do, which is going to bring back a string. Dot equals the username that's typed in here. So quite a long signature or method call, lots of different methods happening. So get username is going to be a user, and it's one that's designed, so it's going to be return username string. So public, so we can call it out with here, string the return type, get username, no parameters, literally return username. Now whilst we're here, what I'll do is public boolean compare password, which is going to be a string p, which we'll pass into check. If p dot equals the password that's stored, we're going to return true, semicolon, else return false. Now, if it was stored as a hashed password with encryption, that would mean the password is never actually transferred out of here. So go back here, you'll see that error disappears. So if all users.getI.username equals username, we can say found equals true, break, which will quit the loop, which is why it's good to use conditional loops, but you can do that in a for loop as well. So if the username exists, check the password. So if found, then we want to check if, and this is going to be complex, all users dot get I, which is where we found that user, dot compare password to the password that's entered, which is password. Now if that's true, we will just do a G option pane just to show that and exemplify that quickly. So let me copy that from here. And we'll look up the different types of message. I think information is one. Need to check that. Login success. Successful password entry. So I just want to have a different type there. So let's say G option pane dot, let's see, information message, I was close. And if it's not a match with the password, then we can again use the warning message one, change the title, password, and say this password does not exist. Now you could also go back to that if and say else. That means it's obviously not found, and we'll put another option message out there and say username, and say this username does not exist. And if we run it and try a few of these options, hopefully it works when it loads. So it starts again. If you click login, we'll get that password thing that can't work. We can see my password here. So if we type lowercase cmc c83 is there. Typical. And click login with no password. It will tell us you can't have an empty password. Type in the correct password for this username, which is obviously not correct because it is different because it's lowercase. Let's see, we'll get an error or an infinite loop that's happening there. So let's check back at our code. Getting no errors appearing, but nothing else happening. So we'll get something that's not quite functioning correctly, so I'm going to have to close that there. I'm just going to test that one more time to check that it's working properly. Just quit these for a second. Press play again. Test that it works. So ER to DCSG. Log in. So there's something hanging that's not working correctly, but we're getting no error messages. Now, the one thing I was quite lazy on, I just assumed that my usernames were working, so I'm not quite sure where the error is, so that's fine. I was hoping to get some errors whenever I did this anyway, so I can show you how we fix them. Just for testing, I'm going to print out system.out.println temp.get username just to see at this point when it loads if those are null. So we'll see when we get that run, we can see it's printing out the 3 usernames, no problem, so there's not a problem adding to our array list at that point, so they all appear to be added correctly. So looking back through here, we knew this part was okay. The criteria met is true, so again, just try and diagnose it. System.out.println, checking username. Now, in my experience, the error is always something ridiculous that I've just overlooked. So it takes a few times to run it and just check. So back here, and we will use CMCC83 and DCSG. Log in. Well, that time it worked strangely. So it worked okay when it was correct. So let's try changing the password. This password does not exist. Let's try again and just change a password, a username that doesn't exist, and log in, and crashing in that scenario. So let's just see. So we can see here we got checking username is okay. The errors were in the case where the username was not found. So this was okay here. We can take that part out. Can change my error message. This password is incorrect because it obviously found that user. Otherwise, this username does not exist. Let's just check. So that will be if not found. Interesting. We'll need to do some print statements. And again, it's obviously crashed because I can't click the exit button. It must be to do with my found. Found is true. Criteria met is true. Can't see if criteria met is true. We're checking. I found. Now, just for readability and my own sanity, I'm going to put equals true here. So we've been trying to figure out that it obviously works, or I've managed to fix it. So I actually stopped the video because I was not sure what I had missed. Now, I did mention that it would be a classic mistake of missing something important. We can see here that I is the counter for this loop. The loop's fine, the if statement's fine. I would have gotten away with it had I used a for loop, but I forgot to increment the counter every single time the loop goes round, which was stupid. Really important, which was absolutely pathetic and wasted about 15 minutes of this full time where I was trying to figure out what was going wrong. But anyway, that's going to happen in our projects. Simple oversight stopped it from working. So let's test it by typing in nonsense. Click login, we know the username doesn't exist. Get one that does exist. It's going to tell me the password is incorrect. And then when I get the password correct and click login, we get the successful password entry. So the next part of this for us is to get the login user, the logged in user, their home page basically, I guess. So again, I'll right click and I will create this new JFrame form, which I'll call logged in user, and hit finish. Now, there's a couple of things we need to do here. Now I'm going to have a label just really quickly at the top. I'll put the OK button for quit, so edit that text, X there, change the variable name to J button exit, hit OK, rename this variable to JLabel username, hit OK, and we will need to implement reading, writing, etc. on this one, but all I want to do on this is right click and choose the properties and not allow it to to do nothing on exit on close, and then implement that on the exit button. Now what I actually want this one to do is to load up the login frame again, so I can do login frame LF. Now to save me typing that again, I'm just going to go and steal it from this previous part, paste it in there, but the extra piece I need to do is this dot dispose, which will just get rid of this JFrame we've got open. Similar to those previous errors, we can import the try catch exception to make sure that it can deal with the login frame, which obviously required some file reading and writing. Back here, interesting that these errors are coming up when they worked fine earlier. It's the same as the last time we had. We've just got to put in the try catches and throws exceptions for our projects. So now when we're on login frame, we've got that successful password entry. I'm just going to comment that out, and I will start to create this logged in user. Just call it log equals new logged in user, semicolon, log dot set location relative to null. Now that just makes it load in the center. Log dot set visible true, and this dot dispose, because we're done with the login screen. User frame. So just internal commentary in there. To do that, I could have created a method to do that, which probably would have made more sense, but it'll be quick enough just to move it later if needs be. Now the problem with logged in user is when we load it, when this frame appears, I don't want us to say JLabel1, so I've got JLabel username there. Now when everyone's logged in at the beginning, I want to have a private string username, their forename, their surname, etc. So what I can actually do is have a user object that's passed over, call it user, and when we have the constructor for it, we can specify that it needs to have that passed in, and we can say this dot user equals u, and then for that JLabel we can do dot set text equal to user dot we'll just get username for now. We could get the forename, the surname. Now we're going to have some errors at the moment because when the logged in frame here, it needs to pass over it. Now we can see the error so that we can spot this next time, and you'll see that the logged in user cannot be applied to the given types where I've supplied no arguments in the logged in user frame, or this frame, pardon me, the login frame. It needs a user object passed to it. So something that we could do to fix this, criteria met equals true, if users get username equals that, we can just do here user temp equals all users dot get I, and then we can pass that temp object here. Now, if I'd have done that earlier, could have made our things a bit more readable by saying temp for this particular part. You can see all the places I've used it, and would have made it a bit more readable, to be perfectly honest, but no harm. So coming back here, we can see that it's telling us we have errors now. So this is just going to be the same problem where when you create it, it needs that particular parameter passed. Now the way around that would be being able to invoke the methods or use polymorphism and have it so that we don't have one that requires that parameter. I personally just delete these parts because these are never runnable on their own, but that should fix that part now. So now when we run it, hopefully no errors, so we'll try logging in again. So we have got EAR02, DCSG, log in, we can see no error messages, and this new frame pops up. That pops the username right there, and then what I'm expecting to see is the table there showing me all my information about all my drives, etc., which we'll cover in the next part of the video.